Oh, yes. Hey guys, man, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about, I think, one of the best springtime lures that you might not know about. I'm going to show you guys all about it today in Project E. Thanks, buddy.
From the top of the mountain, yeah, we fought our way to the top of the mountain. Yeah, we fought our way to the top of the mountain. Yeah, we never coming down from the top of the mountain.
The swimming worm, that's what I just caught that fish on. To me, this is one of the best baits when things kind of get funky in the spring, when the bite gets hard, when you got a cold front that's come through like I've got today, bright bluebird skies, not a lot of wind. You know, you may have been catching them on a vibrating jig, on a spinner bait, swimming a jig, and then that bite disappears. What do you go to next? It's the swimming worm. This bait has caught so many fish for me all across the country. It's just mind-boggling. It's like a bait those bass have never seen. Guys, I'm gonna try to show you a bunch of fish catches today, show you how I rig it up, and have a lot of fun too. Oh, it's not a big one. That's one thing about this worm. It will catch big ones, little ones, and everything in between. It's just like, I don't know what it is about it. It just catches fish. It's just such a subtle technique. It's really, really good in pressured situations and situations that the bite's tough. It just shines in all those, and I don't know what it is about it, but man, I catch a lot of fish on it. That's a little one. Hold still, buddy. Hold still. I have got to get me a cushion out. I got a new rod out. That is killing my belly. I know I got some cushions in here. Ah, there we go. I got a blue one and a green one. I'll go blue. Kind of get that wet a little bit. There we go. More better, more better. I'd say one of the biggest advantages of this worm is just how weedless it is. You know, I can throw this down laydowns, down riprap, and of course in grass. And I get a little grass on it, I just kind of snap it. It comes, you know, gets clean. It's just a super weedless bait. I mean, more so than anything else out there. Oh. That feels like a better one. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Man, I just popped that thing free of grass and I got me a tub. I mean a tub. Woo-hoo! Yes, come here, buddy, come here. Oh yes, looky there, looky there. That's so awesome, so awesome. That's probably one of the things I love about a swimming worm as much as anything else is I can just cover so much water with it. You know, that's what we like about a spinnerbait, a vibrating jig in the spring. We can cover water, but that bite goes away. When that water temperature gets to a certain situation, those fish really get close to spawning. That's when you want to pull that worm out, because that's when that other stuff goes away and then you can still catch them on a moving bait. Thank you, bud. With this rig, this is one of the few times that I still use lead. And the reason is lead's a lot easier on my line. I don't use big line with this. 14-pound test is about as big as I will ever use. And with lead, it's just easier on that line. If I was to use a tungsten weight, you know, tungsten a lot of times is really hard on your line if it doesn't have a perfect insert. I like to go back to lead. The other thing, don't use too big a weight. It's a very slow, subtle technique. So I will use an 8 to a 3/16 ounce weight. is all you will ever see me use. You can try other weights, bigger weights. You're cutting your bites in half drastically when you go up in weight. So a couple things to remember there. Keep the weight light, keep the line light. 14-pound test, 8 to 3/16 ounce weight. Man, you'll notice on my hook set, you may think I'm fishing a worm, but it's a sideways hook set. I feel like I'm able to, oh, somebody's calling, hold on a second. Gotta hit the old decline button. I'm in the middle of a talking point and catching big old bass. Yes. No, I use a sideways hook set, kind of like you do on a Carolina rig. The reason for it, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I get a more direct pull with them. I use a sideways hook set. I really let those fish eat it. I don't do it immediately. And I feel like I move a lot more line just pulling that rod to the side. Thanks, bud. All right, guys, here it is, the Power Stop Brakes breakdown. And there's a couple of important things you really got to pay attention to here that I haven't yet talked about. And one is a light wire hook. I really like a 4/0 light wire hook. I don't want to have too heavy a hook. You got to think about it. I've got 14-pound test, a long cast a lot of times, reeling that bait slow. I need that light wire hook to be able to get easy penetration in that fish's mouth. Another key component is that lead weight, an 8 or 3/16. Don't go too big. That helps you slow it down. That helps, it's just the right speed. That's the best way to describe it. When you go to a bigger weight, you're not gonna get the bites. 14-pound fluorocarbon, important. I like that fluorocarbon over monofilament, helps get the bait down, has a lot less stretch. I can really feel it. The other most important thing, guys, is a 6:8 gear ratio reel or a slower gear ratio reel. I've made the mistake a few times of having it on an 8:3 not realizing it, and I'd switch over immediately to that 6:8 and I'd start getting a bunch more bites immediately. So that 6:8 gear ratio reel. I've got it rigged up on a 7/4 medium heavy rod. It's a rod that I can move a lot of line a little bit longer than, say, my spinnerbait rod when I go to set the hook. It's a fast action, medium heavy Bass Pro Signature Series Platinum rod. That is my setup. I think it's really, really critical, those things to make this bait shine the best. It's those little details of that weight, of that smaller line, of that slower gear ratio reel that's gonna get you more bites. And trust me, these things make a big difference in having a very, very successful day with this bait versus not getting very many bites at all. So there it is, Power Stop breakdown, guys. Let's get back after it. Yeah, he didn't eat it. Yeah, he did. Oh, he's a jumper. He's a jumper. He's a jumper. He is going crazy. So this technique, guys, is a shallow water technique. It's not something that I'm going to use out deeper than 5-6 feet. I love this technique when, we did a video on one of the most overlooked areas that fish spawn, and that's areas that they're out there spawning on offshore humps. This is a technique that's perfect for that because it's subtle enough that I can cover water out there, but I don't want to do it much deeper than 6 feet, because we've talked about the weight, the line size. When you get out past 6-7 feet, it's not a very effective technique. It's a technique from 1 to 6 feet of water. And it's a perfect technique for those that offshore structure out there that I'm talking about. Like Gunnersville, I've wrecked them. Rayburn, I've wrecked them. I've wrecked them on Grand on this thing. It's just a technique you gotta know. You gotta know it. Gotta know it. All right, let's catch another one. Oh, my worm is so wore out. Let's see, I don't think it stayed up when I casted it. Nope. Let me get a new worm. So here's how I rig it. This is the Berkeley wind-up worm. It's a great swimming worm. I really like it. I like it that it's got a little bit of meat to it, a little bit bigger. The seams on this worm are on the sides. So the seams come all the way down the sides and they come into the side of the tail. So, you know, I've told you in the past that I always rig it in the seams to keep it straight. This worm is different. I want to rig it between the seams, and I want to rig it, you know, with the hook obviously coming out the belly of the worm. You know, the tail is what makes the belly. So when I look at that worm, that seam goes down that side. So I'm coming out right out the seam. I come out the second ridge. I just pull it right up here. And the reason I only come out the second ridge, I want my little weight to make that clacking noise. You know, you're gonna see me pop it quite a bit. And I like that added little clacking, you know, when I'm fishing this thing. I probably need to retie. And then I set the worm hook on the side and I just push it right up through. Bring it just like that, kind of skin hook it just a little bit. Especially when fishing this grass. If I was fishing like on Grand with a rock, I wouldn't quite have to, you know, skin hook it like that. But that's how I rig it. So what that does by going between those seams is that keeps that bait in the right position. That tail is in the vertical position. It's where you want it. If you go through the seams, then the worm's gonna be sideways, it's gonna twist your line all up. You do not want to go through. Oh, there's another one. Oh, here he comes. He is going crazy. He is going crazy. You'll notice there how I hooked him right in the nose too. That means I've got that worm rigged right. It's not rolling when I'm reeling it in. You know, you want to make sure your worm's not rolling when you reel it in. All right, buddy, thank you. Oh, golly. Oh, I love it. It never gets old. That's a good one too. Oh, buddy, thank you, thank you. You're gonna jump again. Get in the boat. Oh, gosh, he's a little bigger than I thought he was. All right. I think another reason why this worm shines so much, man, thanks, bud, is it's so subtle. So like, you know, today, it got down to 32 last night, got down to 32 the night before. We had a cold front come through and it happens so much in the spring and it knocks your bite in the head. You know, that water, I'm guessing, was probably, you know, mid to low 60s. You know, now this morning I got 57-degree water out here. And it's just it's a bait that you can throw after those cold fronts on these clear bluebird days like this. It's just one of those reasons why it makes it shine. You know, I've got 58-degree water this morning where it was warm before. And it's just really subtle coming through the water. I think fish a lot of times thinks, they may think it's a bluegill because it's a bait that shines in and around the spawn. You know, it's not the only time of the year that I catch them on it, but it's the best time of the year to catch them on it is in and around the spawn. Gosh, that's a nice one. That's a nice one. Oh, that's a nice one. Look at that one. Oh, guys, it's almost like taking candy from a baby, throwing these swimming worms. I had to switch over to a red bug colored one because I ran out of watermelon red. But that's what it's about right there, catching chunks. Yes, sir. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Man, be sure to leave me a comment. Try this swimming worm out. Man, it works well. That's a Berkeley wind-up worm. Watermelon red's great for clear water situations, When you get in dirtier water situations, I love June bug, I love red bug. But those are the 3 colors I use: watermelon red bug, June bug. Those darker worms for darker water, that lighter worm for cleaner, clearer, sunnier days. Catch fish like that right there. Thanks, guys.